Welcome to a transformative journey toward discovering your inner light and embracing your true self-worth. Internal validation is not just a concept, it's a powerful shift in how we perceive ourselves and our place in the world. When we move away from constantly seeking approval from others and instead turn inward, we unlock something profound. We begin to cultivate self-awareness, recognizing our thoughts, feelings, and patterns without judgment. We develop self-acceptance, embracing who we are in this moment, flaws and all, and we nurture self-love, treating ourselves with the kindness and compassion we deserve. This internal foundation becomes unshakable. It allows us to set healthy boundaries that protect our energy and well-being. It helps us develop a positive self-image that isn't dependent on external circumstances. And ultimately, it leads us to find our inner light, that authentic essence that has always been within us, waiting to be recognized. This journey toward internal validation is truly transformative, bringing deep fulfillment and genuine self-empowerment that no external source can provide. The path to self-worth begins not with looking outward for validation, but with turning our attention inward. This inward journey requires courage because it means facing ourselves honestly and completely. We must begin to understand our inner dialogue, that constant stream of thoughts and self-talk that shapes our reality. Often, we're not even aware of what we're telling ourselves throughout the day. Are we encouraging ourselves or tearing ourselves down? Are we speaking to ourselves with compassion or criticism? As we develop this awareness, we start to recognize the patterns that have been holding us back. These patterns might include negative self-talk that diminishes our accomplishments, limiting beliefs that tell us we're not capable or worthy, or self-sabotaging behaviors that keep us stuck. By bringing these patterns into conscious awareness, we create the opportunity for change. We can begin to question whether these thoughts and beliefs are actually true, or if they're simply old stories we've been telling ourselves. This process of self-examination sets the stage for the deeper work of recognizing and transforming the obstacles that stand between us and our inherent self-worth. Chapter 3 focuses on one of the most critical aspects of the self-worth journey, recognizing your worth by identifying and addressing negative self-talk. This destructive inner dialogue is perhaps the most challenging obstacle we face on the path to self-worth. It's that critical voice inside our heads that constantly judges, criticizes, and undermines us. This voice tells us we're not good enough, smart enough, attractive enough, or worthy enough. It replays our mistakes and magnifies our perceived flaws. Negative self-talk can leave us feeling unworthy, insecure, and stuck in patterns of self-doubt. It affects every area of our lives, our relationships, our careers, our health, and our happiness. The insidious nature of negative self-talk is that it often operates below our conscious awareness, shaping our reality without us even realizing it. But here's the empowering truth. Once we understand and identify negative self-talk, we can break free from its grip. We can learn to recognize when it's happening, challenge its validity, and replace it with more supportive and truthful thoughts. This process paves the way for a healthier, more fulfilling life where we're no longer held hostage by our own critical inner voice. Challenging negative self-talk begins with questioning its validity. When that critical voice speaks up, we can pause and ask ourselves, is this thought actually true? What evidence do I have for and against this belief? Would I say this to a friend I care about? Often, we'll discover that our negative self-talk is based on distortions, exaggerations, or outdated beliefs rather than current reality. The next step is replacing these destructive thoughts with more positive, realistic ones. This doesn't mean engaging in false positivity or denying real challenges. Instead, it means reframing our thoughts with compassion and balance. For example, instead of "I'm a complete failure," we might say, "I made a mistake, and I can learn from this experience." There are practical exercises that support this transformation. Journaling prompts help us explore our thought patterns and identify recurring themes. Mindfulness techniques teach us to observe our thoughts without getting caught up in them. Guided reflections provide structured opportunities to examine and reframe our self-talk. With consistent practice, we can replace self-defeating thoughts with empowering affirmations that support our growth and well-being. This brings us to another crucial aspect of recognizing our worth: challenging limiting beliefs. These are the deeply ingrained thoughts that hold us back from reaching our true potential and living fully. Limiting beliefs act as invisible barriers that we've constructed around ourselves, often without even realizing it. These beliefs might sound like, "I'm not creative," "I'll never be successful," "I don't deserve love," or "people like me don't achieve great things." They're self-imposed limitations that prevent us from fully embracing our worth and pursuing our dreams. The power of these beliefs lies in their ability to become self-fulfilling prophecies. When we believe we can't do something, we often don't even try, or we sabotage our own efforts unconsciously. Challenging these limiting beliefs is essential for breaking free from their grip and stepping into a more empowered, confident version of ourselves. When we question and dismantle these false limitations, we open up new possibilities for growth, achievement, and self-expression. We begin to see that many of the barriers we thought were real were actually just stories we told ourselves. This realization is incredibly liberating because it means we have far more potential and capability than we previously believed. By challenging our limiting beliefs, we pave the way for transformation and create space for our authentic self to emerge. The process of challenging limiting beliefs requires both awareness and action. First, we must identify and recognize these beliefs, which often have roots in past experiences, childhood messages, or societal conditioning. We might ask ourselves, what beliefs do I hold about my capabilities, my worthiness, or my potential? Where did these beliefs come from? Next, we examine the evidence that supports or refutes these beliefs. Often, we'll find that our limiting beliefs are based on isolated incidents, misinterpretations, or outdated information rather than objective truth. Then comes the crucial step of reframing our thoughts with empowering narratives. Instead of "I'm not good at public speaking," we might reframe to "public speaking is a skill I can develop with practice." This shift from fixed to growth-oriented thinking opens up new possibilities. Equally important is developing internal validation rather than constantly seeking external approval. When we look within for validation, we cultivate self-compassion, treating ourselves with the same kindness we'd offer a good friend. We develop self-acceptance, embracing ourselves as we are right now, not just who we might become. And we nurture self-love, recognizing our inherent worthiness regardless of achievements or others' opinions. This internal foundation of self-worth becomes the solid ground from which we can grow and thrive. Challenging limiting beliefs is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process that requires consistent effort and self-reflection. It's about catching ourselves when those old limiting thoughts arise and consciously choosing to replace them with more empowering beliefs. Over time, this practice becomes more natural, and we find ourselves automatically thinking in ways that support rather than undermine our growth. The journey of challenging limiting beliefs is really about replacing fear-based thinking with possibility-based thinking. Now let's turn our attention to another crucial step in finding our inner light: embracing self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is the foundation upon which healthy self-worth is built. It means wholeheartedly embracing ourselves, our strengths and weaknesses, our successes and failures, our light and shadow, without needing external validation to confirm our worth. Self-acceptance is not about being perfect or having it all figured out. It's about being real, authentic, and honest with ourselves. It's about recognizing that we are inherently worthy simply because we exist, not because of what we achieve or how others perceive us. When we embrace self-acceptance, we stop waiting for permission from the outside world to feel good about ourselves. We stop putting our self-worth on hold until we reach some future goal or gain someone's approval. Instead, we claim our worthiness right now in this moment exactly as we are. Self-acceptance is a powerful antidote to the negative beliefs and self-criticisms that have been holding us back. When we truly accept ourselves, we can let go of the harsh judgments we've been carrying. We can silence that inner critic that constantly tells us we're not good enough, not doing enough, not being enough. This doesn't mean we stop growing or striving for improvement. Rather, It means we approach our growth from a place of self-compassion rather than self-criticism. Self-acceptance also makes us more resilient in the face of adversity and challenges. When we accept ourselves fully, we understand that making mistakes doesn't diminish our value as human beings. We recognize that failure is simply feedback, not a reflection of our fundamental worth. This perspective allows us to take risks, try new things, and bounce back from setbacks more quickly. We become less afraid of judgment, both from others and from ourselves, because our sense of worth is no longer contingent on being perfect or always succeeding. Instead, we can embrace our humanity with all its beautiful imperfections and move through life with greater ease, confidence, and authenticity. Self-acceptance truly is the key to unlocking our authentic self-worth and finding our inner light. When we embrace both our light and our shadow, our strengths and our struggles, we become whole. We stop fragmenting ourselves, hiding parts we think are unacceptable, and instead integrate all aspects of who we are. This integration is where real power and peace reside. Now let's explore another essential component of recognizing our worth: understanding yourself. True self-worth can only be achieved when we take the time to delve deep within and understand the unique qualities, values, and characteristics that make us who we are. This journey of self-understanding requires introspection and honest self-reflection. We might engage in practices like journaling, where we explore our thoughts, feelings, dreams, and fears on paper. We might practice meditation, creating quiet space to observe our inner landscape without judgment. Through these practices, we begin to recognize the patterns and beliefs that may be holding us back from fully recognizing our self-worth. We might discover that we've been living according to others' expectations rather than our own values. We might realize that we've been pursuing goals that don't actually align with what matters most to us. These insights are invaluable because they allow us to make conscious choices about who we want to be and how we want to live. Understanding yourself means recognizing and embracing both your strengths and your weaknesses as important aspects of who you are. Your strengths are gifts to be celebrated and shared with the world. Your weaknesses are opportunities for growth and learning, not reasons for shame. When we accept both, we become more authentic and whole. This journey also involves exploring your passions, dreams, and values. What lights you up? What matters most to you? What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? These questions help us connect with our authentic desires rather than the shoulds and supposed tos that society imposes. When we live in alignment with our true passions and values, we create a sense of authenticity and purpose that naturally enhances our self-worth. It's important to remember that understanding yourself is not a destination but an ongoing process. We are constantly evolving, growing, and changing. What was true for us 5 years ago may not be true today. This requires patience with ourselves and self-compassion as we navigate the journey of self-discovery. The beautiful truth is that self-worth doesn't reside somewhere outside of us, waiting to be found or earned. It resides within us, always has and always will, simply waiting to be recognized and embraced. As we transition into Chapter 4, we focus on cultivating self-worth through specific practices, beginning with self-compassion. Self-compassion is one of the most important and transformative aspects of developing genuine self-worth. Yet it's something many of us struggle with deeply. We are often our own harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossibly high standards and berating ourselves mercilessly when we fall short. We judge ourselves for our perceived flaws, criticize ourselves for our mistakes, and compare ourselves unfavorably to others. This constant self-judgment takes a tremendous toll on our well-being and our sense of worth. Practicing self-compassion offers a way to break this destructive cycle and create a more nurturing, supportive relationship with ourselves. Self-compassion means treating ourselves with the same kindness, care, and understanding that we would naturally extend to a dear friend who was struggling. It means recognizing our shared humanity, understanding that everyone makes mistakes, faces challenges, and has imperfections. It means being gentle with ourselves rather than harsh, supportive rather than critical, understanding rather than judgmental. When we practice self-compassion, We acknowledge our pain and struggles without minimizing them, but also without letting them define our entire sense of self. Cultivating self-acceptance through self-compassion means letting go of the need for external validation and embracing our inherent worthiness. We stop waiting for others to tell us we're good enough and instead recognize that we are enough, right now, exactly as we are. This doesn't mean we stop growing or improving, but rather that we approach our growth from a foundation of self-acceptance rather than self-rejection. Being gentle with ourselves when we make mistakes or face challenges is a crucial aspect of self-compassion. Instead of beating ourselves up, we can acknowledge that mistakes are part of being human and offer ourselves the same understanding we'd give to others. Practicing self-compassion also involves setting healthy boundaries and prioritizing self-care. When we set boundaries, we're saying that our needs, feelings, and well-being matter. When we prioritize self-care, nurturing ourselves physically, emotionally, and spiritually, we send ourselves a powerful message that we are worthy of love, attention, and care. The more we practice self-compassion, the more we can embrace our inner light and realize our inherent worthiness. Self-compassion becomes the soil in which self-worth naturally grows and flourishes. Practicing self-compassion is absolutely essential for the journey toward genuine self-worth. It's the foundation that supports all other aspects of personal growth and development. By cultivating self-acceptance, being gentle with ourselves, and prioritizing self-care, we create the conditions for our inner light to shine brightly. Now let's explore another vital but often overlooked aspect of cultivating self-worth: setting healthy boundaries. Boundaries are like invisible fences that protect our emotional, mental, and physical well-being. They define what is acceptable and unacceptable in how others treat us and how we allow ourselves to be treated. Despite their importance, many people struggle with setting boundaries. We might fear confrontation or worry about being seen as difficult or selfish. We might fear rejection or abandonment if we assert our needs. We might have learned in childhood that our needs don't matter or that we should always put others first. However, learning to set healthy boundaries is crucial for our well-being and for developing a strong sense of self-worth. Without boundaries, we become depleted, resentful, and disconnected from our authentic selves. With healthy boundaries, we honor our needs, protect our energy, and create relationships based on mutual respect rather than obligation or guilt. Setting healthy boundaries begins with self-awareness, understanding our own needs, values, and limits. We must explore what feels comfortable and uncomfortable for us, what energizes us and what drains us, what aligns with our values and what violates them. Once we're clear on our boundaries, we must communicate them assertively and respectfully. This means using I statements to express our needs without blaming or attacking others. For example, I need some quiet time in the evenings to recharge, rather than, you're always bothering me. Learning to say no without guilt is one of the most powerful acts of self-care and self-respect. Every time we say yes when we mean no, we betray ourselves and reinforce the belief that others' needs matter more than our own. It's important to be prepared for some resistance when we start setting boundaries, especially if people are used to us having none. But holding firm communicates that we value ourselves and our well-being. Now let's turn to another crucial aspect of cultivating self-worth: developing a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication, effort, and learning. When we embrace a growth mindset, we open ourselves up to endless possibilities and recognize that we can overcome obstacles and achieve our goals. The first steps toward developing a growth mindset involve recognizing and challenging any fixed mindset beliefs we might hold. A fixed mindset says, I'm just not good at this, or I'll never be able to do that. A growth mindset says, I'm not good at this yet, but I can learn, or this is challenging, but I can develop this skill with practice. Embracing challenges as opportunities for growth is central to a growth mindset. Instead of shying away from difficult tasks or situations that push us outside our comfort zone, we can view them as chances to expand our capabilities and learn something new. Effort is key to developing a growth mindset. We must see effort not as a sign of weakness or lack of natural talent, but as the path to mastery and improvement. When we encounter setbacks, we can view them as opportunities to persevere and develop resilience rather than as evidence of our limitations. Seeking feedback and learning from others is another important aspect of a growth mindset. Instead of seeing feedback as criticism or taking it personally, we can view it as valuable information that helps us improve and grow. And finally, celebrating our successes along the way, both big and small, reinforces our growth mindset and motivates us to keep moving forward on our journey. Developing a growth mindset is not an overnight process. It requires consistent effort, ongoing self-reflection, and a genuine commitment to personal growth and development. But by embracing this mindset, we can unlock our true potential and find the validation and self-worth we seek from within, rather than from external sources. The growth mindset reminds us that we are not fixed or limited, but constantly evolving beings with unlimited capacity for learning and growth. This brings us to another vital step in the journey towards self-worth and validation: positive practice. Positive practices are the habits and behaviors we intentionally cultivate to foster self-love, self-acceptance, and personal growth. These practices help us shift our focus from what's wrong to what's right, from scarcity to abundance, from self-criticism to self-compassion. When we consistently engage in positive practices, we gradually rewire our brains and reshape our default patterns of thinking and being. We create new neural pathways that support self-worth rather than undermine it. Over time, these practices become second nature, and we find ourselves naturally thinking and acting in ways that honor and support our well-being and growth. Let me share 5 powerful positive practices that can transform your relationship with yourself and cultivate strong self-worth. First, gratitude. Cultivating an attitude of thankfulness shifts our perspective from what we lack to what we have. When we regularly acknowledge our blessings and the abundance in our lives, we naturally feel more content and worthy. Second, self-compassion. As we've discussed, treating ourselves with kindness and forgiveness rather than harsh judgment is fundamental to self-worth. Third, mindfulness. Being fully present in the moment without judgment helps us develop heightened awareness of our thoughts, feelings, and experiences. This awareness is the foundation for conscious choice and change. Fourth, self-care. Taking care of our physical, emotional, and mental well-being through activities that nourish our mind, body, and soul sends the message that we matter and are worthy of care. This might include exercise, healthy eating, adequate sleep, creative pursuits, time in nature, or whatever replenishes us. Fifth, surrounding yourself with positivity. Seeking out supportive, encouraging people and positive influences while limiting exposure to negativity and toxicity protects our energy and reinforces our worth. By incorporating these 5 positive practices into our daily lives, we cultivate a strong sense of self-worth and validation that comes from within, rather than depending on external circumstances or others' opinions. By incorporating these positive practices into our daily lives, we gradually cultivate a strong sense of self-worth and validation that is unshakable because it comes from within. Self-worth is not something that can be given to us by others or earned through achievements. It's not contingent on external circumstances or others' approval. Rather, it's a journey that begins within, in the quiet moments when we choose to treat ourselves with kindness, when we acknowledge our inherent value, when we honor our needs and boundaries. Embracing these positive practices helps us find our inner light, that authentic essence that has been there all along, simply waiting to be recognized and embraced. When we commit to these practices consistently, our inner light begins to shine more brightly, illuminating not only our own path, but also inspiring others to find their own light. The transformation that occurs through positive practice is profound and lasting because it's built on a foundation of self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-love rather than external validation or temporary fixes. As we continue our journey of finding inner light and cultivating self-worth, it's essential to understand the intricate relationship between emotions and stability. Emotions are fundamental to the human experience. They color our perceptions, influence our decisions, and shape how we interact with the world and with ourselves. Our emotions provide valuable information about our internal state and our responses to external circumstances. However, without stability, emotions can become overwhelming and destabilizing. We might find ourselves on an emotional roller coaster, feeling tossed about by every feeling that arises. This is where stability comes in. Stability serves as an anchor, providing a steady foundation that allows us to experience our emotions without being overwhelmed by them. It gives us the grounding we need to navigate life's ups and downs while maintaining our sense of self and our connection to our inner worth. Stability doesn't mean suppressing emotions or trying to feel the same all the time. Rather, it means developing the inner resources and resilience to hold space for whatever emotions arise while maintaining our equilibrium and sense of self. This balance between honoring our emotions and maintaining stability is crucial for emotional well-being and personal growth. The first step toward emotional stability is developing self-awareness, understanding our emotions, recognizing our triggers, and noticing our patterns. When we're aware of what we're feeling and why, we can respond consciously rather than react automatically. This awareness creates space between stimulus and response, allowing us to choose how we want to engage with our emotions. Cultivating stability also requires embracing self-care as a non-negotiable priority. We must take care of our physical, mental, and emotional well-being through activities that bring us joy, peace, and fulfillment. This might include mindfulness practices, spending time in nature, engaging in creative pursuits, or connecting with supportive people. It's important to remember that emotions are not inherently good or bad. They're simply messengers providing information about our internal state. When we accept our emotions without judgment, we can learn from them rather than being controlled by them. Seeking support from trusted individuals is also crucial for emotional stability. Sharing our emotional journey with others who understand and validate our experiences provides connection and reminds us we're not alone. This support can come from friends, family, therapists, support groups, or spiritual communities. The key is finding people who can hold space for our emotions without trying to fix or dismiss them. By acknowledging and nurturing the relationship between emotions and stability, we pave the way for profound transformation on our journey towards self-worth. Embracing our emotions with compassion rather than judgment allows us to honor our full human experience. Cultivating stability through self-awareness and self-care provides the foundation we need to navigate life's challenges without losing ourselves. Seeking support from others reminds us that we're not meant to do this alone, and that connection is a fundamental human need. It's important to remember that emotions don't define us. They're simply part of our experience, not the totality of who we are. We are so much more than our feelings in any given moment. By developing emotional awareness and stability, we create the conditions for our inner light to shine steadily and brightly, regardless of the emotional weather we're experiencing. This emotional resilience becomes a cornerstone of genuine self-worth, allowing us to remain connected to our inherent value even when we're struggling or in pain. Welcome to Chapter 5, Nurturing Your Inner Light. In this chapter, we explore how to actively cultivate and strengthen the self-worth we've been developing. One of the most fascinating and crucial aspects of this journey is discovering your passions and interests. This process of discovery is fundamental to self-worth because it connects us with what truly excites, fulfills, and energizes us. Self-exploration is the foundation for discovering our passions. This means embarking on a journey of delving into our thoughts, emotions, and experiences with curiosity and openness. We might ask ourselves, what activities make me lose track of time? What did I love doing as a child? What would I do if money were no object? What issues or causes do I care deeply about? Embracing curiosity and open-mindedness is essential for this exploration. We must be willing to try new experiences, explore different hobbies, and step outside our comfort zones. Sometimes our passions are hiding in places we'd never expect. Identifying our strengths and talents is another key aspect of discovering passions. We can evaluate our skills and natural inclinations, noticing what comes easily to us and what others often compliment us on. The power of mindfulness in this process cannot be overstated. By being fully present in each moment, we can discover what truly brings us joy, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. As we explore our passions, we must also address the fear and self-doubt that often arise. It's natural to feel uncertain or afraid when venturing into new territory or considering pursuing something we're passionate about. We might worry about failure, judgment, or not being good enough. These fears are normal, but we cannot let them stop us from exploring what lights us up. Discovering our passions is a process, not a destination. It takes time, experimentation, and patience. We must embrace courage and push past our self-imposed limitations to unlock the endless possibilities that await us. When we do, we discover that pursuing our passions validates our self-worth in a profound way. It acknowledges our unique qualities, interests, and contributions. It reminds us that we have something valuable to offer the world. Discovering and pursuing our passions is truly a lifelong journey that brings immense joy, fulfillment, and meaning to our lives. It's one of the most powerful ways we can honor ourselves and nurture our inner light, allowing it to shine brightly in the world. Now let's turn our attention to another imperative aspect of nurturing our inner light: engaging in self-care activities. In our fast-paced, demanding world, self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity for maintaining our overall well-being and staying connected to our inner light. Self-care is a conscious effort to promote our physical, mental, and emotional health through intentional activities and practices. Let's explore 3 key dimensions of self-care. First, physical well-being. Our bodies are the vessels that carry us through life, and caring for them is fundamental. This includes regular exercise that we enjoy, nourishing our bodies with healthy foods, getting adequate rest and sleep, and attending to our physical health needs. When we engage in physical activities, we boost our energy levels and release endorphins that contribute to feelings of happiness and well-being, which naturally supports our sense of self-worth. Second, mental self-care. This involves activities that stimulate our minds and support our intellectual growth. Reading books, engaging in creative hobbies, learning new skills, or simply giving ourselves permission to rest our minds are all forms of mental self-care. Third, emotional self-care. This means acknowledging and processing our emotions with kindness and compassion, rather than suppressing or judging them. Engaging in self-care is fundamentally an act of self-love and self-empowerment. When we prioritize our well-being, we're making a powerful statement that we matter, that our needs are important, and that we are worthy of care and attention. This prioritization of self-care equips us to show up more fully in our lives and relationships. We have more energy, patience, and presence to offer others when we're not running on empty. By valuing ourselves enough to engage in regular self-care, we send a powerful message to ourselves and to the world. We are worthy of love, respect, and validation. We don't need to earn the right to take care of ourselves through achievement or by meeting others' expectations. We are worthy simply because we exist. The path to finding our inner light truly starts with acknowledging our inherent self-worth and embracing the power of self-care. When we commit to caring for ourselves with the same dedication we often give to caring for others, we create the conditions for our inner light to shine brilliantly. This light then becomes a beacon, not only guiding our own path forward, but also inspiring others to recognize and nurture their own inner light. Self-care is not selfish, it's essential, and it's one of the most profound ways we can honor the precious gift of our own existence.